Hi, this is Big V, and we're live. This is Tuesday evening. It's about 7 minutes before 4 p.m., and we will be joining the Rise of Neotech School of Genius call here tonight. This is 2 days before Thanksgiving, just to let you know. This morning, we had an excellent social media program exposing some of the Neotech literature to the general public. It's been an excellent day, and so right now this is interaction. I'm going to plan on recording the whole program today, so it's going to be the whole hour and 55 minutes or whatever. Except for I will not advertise the phone numbers or access codes. So enjoy the interaction amongst members. Here we go.
Rick's here.
I'm Don from Utah.
Hey, from Utah.
I say I'm Don.
This is Raymond from Killeen, Texas. Hi, Raymond. Hi.
June Bowers from Tennessee.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, June Bowers.
We're in Tennessee.
Gail from New Hampshire.
Hi, Gail.
Hi.
This is Don from Utah.
Hi, Don.
John?
Hi, how you doing today?
We're doing good. How about you?
Well, I'm anxious to get started.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Are you the presenter?
I'm
Hello.
Hi, Digger and Charlie and Kay. This is Rebel. Hi, John. Welcome to the call. Good evening, everybody. Welcome
Oh,
to the
there
call.
he is. There he
How
is.
y'all doing?
Hi, Digger.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Going good.
All right. Glad to have you on the call tonight.
Hi, Steve. Charlie K. This is George Washington State.
Hello, George. Welcome. Hi, guys.
Thank you.
Who else is joining us? Hey, welcome. Hi, welcome. Who's joining us?
First time call.
Hey, welcome to the call. Thanks for joining us tonight. Glad you're on.
Hey, Steve. You're staying out in New York.
Hey, welcome. How are you?
Hey, this is Randy in Los Angeles.
Andy in Los Angeles. You're on the call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Digger. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the call.
How are you, Steve?
Good, thanks. I'm doing good, thank you. I hope you all are too.
Hey, Barbara.
Glad you're with us.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you all? Doing good?
Oh, yes, it's
All right. Good to have you on the call. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you,
Chris from Michigan.
Hello, Chris. Welcome.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Chris.
Welcome to the call. Hi.
This is
Good evening, everyone. Melrose from New
Hello,
York.
Melrose. Hello, William. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Glad to be with you. As
Thanks for
always.
with us tonight. Hi. Welcome to the call. Who else is joining us? Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Who's joining us? This is Digger. Welcome to the call. We're glad to have you with us. It is tonight. It's School of Genius, Rise of Neotech. We have a really two good programs tonight.
Oh, great.
Good. So get ready. Digging deeper and deeper.
Hello, Bernard from North Carolina.
Hey, Bernard. Welcome to the call.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who else is with us tonight? Welcome to the call. We want to hear from everybody.
This is Steve in Tampa, Florida.
Steve Tamper, you're on the call. Thank you for joining us. Who else is joining us?
Kay is here.
Hi, Kay. Welcome.
Hey,
Welcome to the
Gail
call.
from New Hampshire.
Hey, welcome from New Hampshire. Glad to have you on the call.
Clifford, 6 Maryland.
Okay.
Who else is with us? Welcome to the call. This is...
I said Clifford, 6 Maryland. I didn't know if I was received.
No, you weren't, but now you are, Clifford, so you are received. Thank you.
It's my first time calling. I've been calling
Really?
on Monday nights.
Well, welcome, Clifford. We're glad to have you on tonight's call.
Welcome. Elaine Dennett from Arkansas.
Good evening, Elaine. Welcome to the
Hi,
call.
y'all. Hi, Elaine.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Wow. Hey, Steve. Charlie.
Hey, Charlie.
Hi,
Welcome.
Charlie.
Hello.
Hi, Charlie.
Hello, hello.
Welcome,
Hear you.
welcome. Who else is with us? Welcome to the call, guys. Good evening. Welcome. Who's joining us?
This is
Hi, from New York.
Hi, Charlie.
Hey,
welcome,
Brenda.
Andrea. Brenda, welcome. Hello. I think Andrea, too. Welcome.
Andrea, hello.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mrs. Dorita. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Hello, Doretha, and happy Thanksgiving to you, too.
Likewise.
Welcome to the call.
Hello, James from Maine.
Good evening, James.
Hey,
Welcome.
Hi.
Glad you're with us. Who else is with us? Welcome to the call.
This is Raymond from Killeen, Texas. I called in 2 minutes before you came on.
Well, good for
So
you.
glad that you're here.
You made it just in time. You're in a good place. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad you're on and you're recognized. It's even better. Good to have you with us.
I'm always glad to be here, too.
Who else is with us? Welcome to the call.
Here comes the judge.
Gene, welcome. You're sounding good, Gene.
Thank you. I love you so much.
Love you too, dear. Thank you.
I want to feel like dancing.
I do too. I think it's time. Let me go ahead and I'm going to shut up my shoes. Hey, welcome. Hi. I got a new vest for us. A new vest. Yeah, a little
Happy
sharp vest.
Thanksgiving, right from Colorado.
Hey, Colorado, you're on the call. Welcome to the call. Thank you for joining us. Who else is joining us? Welcome. Hi. Hey, Curtis, welcome to the call.
Thank you, sir. Hi, that's William from South Carolina.
William from South Carolina.
Hi,
You're on the
William.
call. Thank you.
Hey, William.
Hi, this is Elmo from Seattle.
Hey, welcome. How you doing?
Hello.
Hi.
Good.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We have a few new members on tonight. I'm glad to have you with us. It's good to see it. We keep moving in with new members. That's great.
Yeah.
Excuse me. My name is Gregory Keys
Well, good evening. Welcome.
from Illinois.
Illinois. I love that state. That's great. Chicago. Oh, Chicago. My boy's in Chicago. My boy.
Is that
young
right?
boy. He, my young man. Yeah, my son. Yep.
Okay.
Love Chicago. Welcome. Who else is joining
And
us
thank
tonight?
you. I'm
Thank
glad
you
to
for
be
joining.
aboard.
Well, I'm glad you're recognized. And thank you for letting us know you're there. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Who else is joining us? Welcome to the call.
Janetta from Michigan.
Michigan, you're in the house. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
Welcome.
The
recording
has started.
Who else is joining us? Welcome to the call. Hi.
Ray from Michigan.
Hey, Ray, welcome to the call.
Hello, Ray.
Welcome to the call. Thanks for joining us. Scott from Green Bay. Welcome. How's it going? Good. Real good. Thank you for joining us. You bet. Anybody else want to say hi?
Joe Cram from
Hey.
Campfield, Pennsylvania.
Indiana. Well, welcome. Glad to have you with you on the call. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Michigan.
Raymond, welcome. Glad to have you with us.
Hey,
too.
Raymond.
And who else is with us this evening?
Dave from New York.
Hey, Eddie, how's it going? Welcome to the call. Thanks for joining us.
Well, Jacob and Charlie, Miles in Florida.
Good evening, Al. Welcome to the call. And who else is joining us? Welcome to the call.
From Ohio.
How are you? You're in the house. Thanks for joining us.
Pennsylvania, California.
Well, hello. How are you from California? Welcome.
I'm okay.
Good. Glad you're with us. Who else is joining us tonight?
Susan from Ohio.
Sonia from Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, you're in the house. Thanks. Thanks for joining us. And who else is joining us this evening?
Ohio. Susan.
Well, hi, Susan. Welcome to the call.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who else is with
Hi,
us?
Charlie. Hi, Steve.
Well, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, it's Lorna in Washington. I'm alive.
You're alive. I hope you're well, too. Thank you, Lorna.
Good to hear you.
Hi. I'm good.
All right, Lorna.
Hi there.
I don't want you just to be alive. I want you to be in good shape. Good. Excellent.
Yeah, better than just alive. Thank you
That's
very
right.
much.
Thank you for just, I don't want you to be existing. I want you to be growing.
No,
Well,
no.
for joining us. Welcome to the call.
It's Carol from Washington. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Carol.
Carol. Welcome.
Q&A session has started. To ask your question, please press *6.
Steve Digger Fagan and Charlie Moore, and we are on the School of Genius, the Rise of Neotech. We have really a 2-hour program, and let me explain how it's going to work because we do have new members. Big hearty Neothink welcome to the new members tonight, and for our existing members, hello, glad you're with us. Basically, it's going to work like this. We have a speaker focusing on their F&E tonight who will tell us what he's learned and researched. It will be Rick Braun, and we're going to hear a little bit about Rick has to do with government, economy, and really what's going on behind the scenes, what's going on behind the mask. And then the second half of it's going to be very interesting. Tonight, I'm going to be focusing on with you, and myself and Charlie, if you go to the definitions part at the very beginning of the book, remember, we're starting from the beginning of the book, and it says Section 1, Definitions. We're going to be on page 2 of that section, and we're going to start with for life. In this book, the term for life means that, for a person's entire life. And we're going to dissect into that, and we're going to move into a few more pages. Fascinating thing that I learned while reading this particular manuscript, the more I keep reading it, the more I keep learning. It's very, very interesting because Dr. Wallace really integrates some real details. A few things. I noticed that when he wrote the book back in the early 80s, there are things in there where he made corrections years later. There are things in here he talks about that he says are negatives, etc. But we all learned as he was writing further in the 90s and all, that he looked at them as positive. So it's fascinating that he integrated in his writings, which fascinated me to show that he was changing viewpoints and integrating as he was writing and developing. So things that you read in the late 70s, early 80s, he would make corrections to in the 90s. So I think the journey of Dr. Wallace is fascinating by this book because we see where his head was back in the early 80s. So another thing, with the concepts, he didn't just do concepts apart from the rest of the writings. He interacts the concepts in all the writings. In all the pages, there's a concept relationship. So he's connecting, integrating concepts with verbiage, like for life. He has a whole concept to do with it being envious, and what that has to do. And he talks about envy on page 3. So we're going to talk about him interaction. We're going to talk about him growing with his integrations. And then we're going to talk about details that he refers to regarding romantic love and the high concept of romantic love. So be ready. We're going to get into that in the second half hour. And we're going to take that into next week's class, because next week will be the 2 hours on the rise of Neotech. So, Charlie, how are you tonight?
Doing great, Steve. You?
Terrific. I'm good. I had a great day today.
This guy that is going to speak, I think he's full of crap, but I'll let you judge for yourself. I don't like this Rick guy. I think he's full of crap. In fact, I'll be more blunt with you. He's full of bullshit. Bullshit. Rick Brown is full of bullshit, in my opinion. That's my opinion. You make your own judgments. But I'm going to go ahead and still record.
At the car service today, went over all the details. It's in perfect shape, and off we are. We're on the road again. So I'm looking forward to both Thursday and Friday, but I will be back in time for the Friday night Mark Hamilton and Family and You call. I will be back for that. But don't forget, all of you, one more time, there is no Frank R. Wallace Lee call Thursday. Remember that, because I'm not going to be on the call. I don't know if Charlie will join you, but I'm not.
I'm not going to be there either. I'll be sleeping by then.
There you go. I'm still going to be partying. I'm going to still be partying, so I'm not going to be doing it. So everybody, just enjoy your families and have a great time. But let's see, is Rick there? Is he ready to roll? I haven't heard Rick's voice.
Star 6, Rick. There he is.
You got him, great. Okay, Rick, the show is yours.
Here I am.
There you are. I was worried. I didn't hear your voice. Good to hear it.
Oh, I called in before you were on, Steve and Charlie, and announced myself, and a few of us had little conversations.
Perfect. Excellent. Yeah, because, guys, I'm not getting on now till 10:02, so you guys come on early and chat and have a great time. So good.
Oh, good energy we have.
So you guys can do it among yourselves, and that's perfect. So go ahead, Rick. It's all yours.
Oh, okay, great. Well, you know, since it's a major national holiday this Thursday, it's important for us to reflect on what that holiday really means. What is Thanksgiving? Think of the word Thanksgiving. Well, it's a day to give thanks. Thanks for family, friends, relationships in our lives, good food, and sharing with one another. not too unlike when the first Thanksgiving was held, I think it was Plymouth Rock, if I'm not mistaken, with the settlers, colonists having arrived, and the Indians being very friendly and offering, they brought the turkey. And they brought all kinds of foods, and so it was a wonderful intermixing of different cultures. If they couldn't understand one another with language, they understood each other by good feeling, good warmth. So let's not forget what that's about. And so with that, I'm going to move on. I'll make a little preface also. I like to search out information that goes behind the scenes, things that you're not going to hear on the mainstream media. They certainly do their best now to lie, distort, misrepresent, ignore, especially how they're ignoring what has been accomplished in less than 2 years of President Trump's administration. Completely ignore it. And so they focus on anything that is anti-Trump. Well, what did we see in the midterm elections? My gosh, the voter fraud in Florida. Unbelievable. Palm Beach and as well, excuse me, Broward County. And they were trying to squeeze in some extra votes and get their candidates elected, but it can't, they couldn't do it illegally. So, and we have just this constant backbiting and race baiting and all this that's going on, and it's an effort to keep the country divided. Divide and conquer. That's been kind of the modus of these global elites and the deep state. The players in our own government, whether it be Democrat or we've got some Republicans that are also retiring, leaving, and not seeking re-election. And if you know why, you would understand why they're getting out of Dodge as fast as they can. Well, we've got an enormous amount of corruption, and it's not coming from this new president. He said something today in a speech I listened to. He said that since he's become president, he has lost an enormous amount of money in the Trump holdings. But he said he doesn't care about that. He cares about the people of America. He wants to not only make America great, keep it great, but see that we have better lives here. And we're seeing it materialize. We really are. In so many ways. Incredible economy that's just roaring along. And economic or job unemployment rate, the lowest they've been in 20 years, and even longer in some cases. Better incomes, better starting wages. So there's a lot of good that's happening. Why can't we hear that in the news? Well, I do keep up with it, and I listen to both sides, but far less anymore from the mainstream media. Too many lies. Okay, so I go out searching, and what I've come up with for tonight's presentation is really one of my trusted and most reliable sources, and that is Benjamin Fulford's blog, even though I've come across some very powerful YouTube videos. There is a film that was produced by Corey Good and David Wilcock, and it is a documentary about what's really going on planet, our Earth, and off planet. And it's something that, of course, the deep state, the powers that be, and I'm not talking about Nancy Pelosi and Chucky Schumer. I'm talking about those higher ups that pull their strings. These are the entities, and I am more and more convinced these are not only earthly entities, but we've heard so much about the reptilians having come here thousands of years ago and having a very powerful influence on what's going on our planet. Why so much effort to try to bring down the United States, destroy our economy, our way of life? Well, we are the single most powerful country in the world, and we've represented freedom and fairness, equal rights. Not to say our country hasn't gone through its challenges, but we've overcome them, and we stand as
Equal rights.
kind,
Right.
compassionate,
Okay. loving
loving people in this country, contrary to how the media portrays us. But at any rate, it's a film by the name of, I think it's called Above Majestic, Above Majestic. And if you go to Amazon, you could either rent it or buy it. It's like $14.99. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Did we lose him? Rick?
I think they lost him.
Rick, are you there?
Good.
I think we may have
Still
lost him.
showing.
He's
He's
still on?
still showing.
Rick,
He's still on.
don't keep talking. We can't hear you. Interesting.
Rick, you there? Oh, he's going now.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that. Okay. Well, let's just hold on for a minute before we could always go into our program while he's trying to get back on. It's not a problem. But Rick's bringing up some very important information. I think a lot has happened over the last month with the midterm elections and with the economy. I got to tell you truthfully, as a stock guy, not happy about the market right now. So that's not a positive right now with what's going on. Apple and all have really done some dives. I'm not too upset about the Facebook part because I'll tell you truthfully, I'm not going to recommend it to everybody. But if you're on Facebook, please be careful. Really,
Yeah.
they are really in a security issue, and the things that are going on there. Rick, are you back?
Yes,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Now we can. Yes, Rick.
Oh, I don't know what happened. I was talking and then
Damn, I hope he was gonna die.
Charlie's
Man,
calling out, you're
gosh.
calling out.
I want this
Steve.
guy to
Anyway,
get off.
somehow
'Cause
we got-
he's such an irritation.
Go back. You're on. Go back.
Okay, I don't know where I was cut off from. But at any rate, Corey Good is a man about 48 years old, and his story, some of this which I come across may seem very far-fetched. Why? Because it's kept from us. So much has been kept from us. We have an advanced space program that we don't hear about. Why have so many tens of trillions of dollars in our taxpayer money, disappeared? Well, much of it has been funneled onto not only, okay, I'm going to say this, and, some of you may say, well, what is he talking about? The moon, okay? The moon is colonized by us and several other countries, and China wants to go up there as well. Mars, they're working to terraform. If you don't know what that means, and that means to convert the climate there to habitable for humans. And there's a lot of water on Mars, contrary to what we've been informed by NASA, and a lot of things have leaked from NASA. I've actually seen film footage of forests, not like ours here, but natural vegetation growth. I've seen lakes and rivers on Mars. Okay, you won't see that on the moon, but on the dark side of the moon, which we never see, even your strongest telescopes, you could never see it. You'd have to circle around the moon to get there. I have seen photographs that leaked from NASA of structures, of high-rise buildings and massive structures on the moon, and also on Mars. Now, Mars is believed underwent either comet attacks on the planet, or there was a war and they annihilated one another, and having destroyed the environments there, and it was no longer habitable. But I've also heard that the remaining inhabitants of Mars went underground, where I've been informed they have very thriving communities. Now, also, I may be giving out information, but we're neo-thinkers, and we know there's much more beyond the illusion of what we've been fed for thousands of years. And you only have to read Dr. Wallace or Mark Hamilton to know that we have been duped and lied to and deceived and made into slaves in so many ways. Well, okay, there are, it's believed, two major reptilian races on the planet. I think three is more like it. There are the blue, I forget let's see, what is it they're called? Angelan blues, the Nordics, and the reptilians. The reptilians are considered the most vicious, nasty, destructive. They can be as much as 14 feet tall. They live underground, and they have taken control of many military bases, not only here in the United States, but elsewhere underground. And they're trying to control humanity. Why do we have so many atmospheric changes in the last 20 years? Well, I came across information that stated that the chemtrails being sprayed over our skies, not just only the United States, but I've walked out before and I've seen as many as 10 streaks across the sky. And no, these are not contrails from jets. Contrails soon disappear. These linger, spread out, and slowly drop over wherever they're sprayed. Well, I've heard that this was being done to make our environment more habitable, our air more habitable for the reptilians so they could live above ground. Now, I could go deeper with this. Now, Corey Goode, I'll go back to him really quickly. When he was 16, 17 years old, he was taken to Mars and then returned back to the planet. And he said the humans, okay, the scientists that brought him back, put him into a machine, kind of, well, he was framed in with styrofoam on either side. He couldn't move, and then they gave him drugs, and they used some type of electronics to reverse age him. And he was asked how old would he be if they had not done this, not once, twice, but 3 times. He's 48 now. He said they reversed his age each time by 20 years. He would be 108 years old. He gives vivid accounts of his experiences there. And about 4 years ago, he contacted David Wilcock. Now, David Wilcock is very well known for his probing knowledge and information of politics and of also the deep state, what's really going on, and also alien influences on our planet, ancient alien influences, and very, very knowledgeable young man. He's only, I think he's 40 years old, and he's been involved in this for over 20 years. So he started very young. And David Wilcock was very hesitant to invite Corey Goode forward, but Corey Goode persisted, and after a year, finally the two communicated, and now I understand they'll talk every day, sometimes up to 2, 3, 4 hours, and Corey Goode has very, very vivid recall of its experiences off planet Earth. So that movie again is Above Majestic. I think it's Above Majestic. If not, you can't find it. You can Google it. Go to Amazon. They are currently featuring it. Okay, Benjamin Netanyahu's Benjamin Fulford's post of yesterday, November 19th, is titled "Arch-Criminal Netanyahu Seeks Immunity by Squealing on His Bosses." Mass-murdering war criminal and Satan-worshipping Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to reach a plea deal to save his own life by squealing on his Rothschild masters, Mossad sources say. Mossad is an intelligence agency of Israel. And they seem to be more so the good guys now. The impending fall of Netanyahu means the final collapse of the Khazarian mafia is now in sight, and it will not be long before the French and Swiss branches of the Rothschild family and their hidden allies are brought to justice. I will insert this. Over 61, maybe up to 70,000 sealed indictments have already been filed, and we've already seen some of these bad guys being arrested, some resigning, some just trying to disappear. And when Justice Kavanaugh was finally approved as the most recent Supreme Court justice, that cleared the path for the beginning of the military tribunals, which are due to start sometime after the new year, sometime in January. And this will bring to justice many of the people that have been bought and paid for, that have been a party to the destruction of our life here in the United States as well as throughout the world. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu has allowed the Khazarians to control him, as well as we've got, I think it is, well, it's definitely Japan, and they've tried in China, but really haven't had success there. So, okay, the impending fall of Netanyahu means the collapse of the Khazarian mafia now in sight, and it will not be long before the French and Swiss branches of the Rothschild family and their hidden allies are brought to justice. It's not just the Rothschilds, but also here in our country we have very, very quiet nowadays. The Rockefellers, the Bushes, even the Clintons are much more quiet than they have been. Hillary pops up once in a while and makes some stupid remarks, and at any rate, she won't ever make it as president in 2020. The fall of Netanyahu is just part of the ongoing collapse of Khazarian mob rule, which will remove a whole series of Western leaders, including Emmanuel Macron in France and Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia, as we shall see below. Okay, first let us look more closely at Netanyahu's case. On his front, the Israeli police have recommended filing criminal charges against Netanyahu for 3 separate issues. The latest coming last week, part of a media corruption scandal. Until now, Netanyahu has been able to use his position as prime minister to prevent his own prosecution. However, now that he has lost his parliamentary majority, his ability to prevent his own arrest is coming to an end, say Mossad sources. Netanyahu's downfall was precipitated by his quickly defeated offensive against the Gaza Strip, Pentagon sources say. This offensive was aimed at distracting public attention from the murder of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi, the sources say. Instead, however, it backfired as the UN, Russia, Jordan, France, the UK, Egypt, and the US all united against his rogue activities. This will be the final nail in Netanyahu's coffin, the sources say. The fall of Netanyahu comes as an Arabic-speaking Christian former U.S. Central Command head General John Abizaid was named ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Pentagon sources say. This means he will effectively be the military governor who may denuke Israel and partition Saudi Arabia while allying with Turkey, Iraq, and Iran, the sources say. Okay, that's that piece. And my mind was just jogged on something, that there are rumors, again, that the fires in Northern California that devastated Chico and Paradise. Now, my own experience with Chico and Paradise, years ago, I received and led groups from both those towns, middle school kids, and I would have them for 4 or 5 days, and they were just wonderful, very well behaved. But that goes back about 15 years ago, something like that. The kids now, those same middle school kids, are brats, spoiled. You can't even get their attention. They're all texting one another. They're, each of them have their own iPhones, and whatever pressure they put on mom and dad to buy them only the best of things to keep little brat from causing trouble. But back then, and I remember so much about those two towns, and to see that they were completely destroyed, it just had a heavy impact on my heart. Okay, my next piece here is and also there are rumors flying that this was again a geoengineered fire. The last big fire in Northern California, I saw photographs as well as video footage of an unmarked jet plane shooting down beams to ignite trees. Now, what's interesting is fire, when it burns a tree, the flames start on the outside and burn inside. However, the trees that were targeted burned from the inside out. And I saw very detailed photographs of that. So, sometimes it's not anymore for me difficult to believe that these kind of things are going on, but we've got some awfully evil people in our country and on this planet. Okay, the next piece here is from Benjamin Fulford, also titled Jesus Christ to Mary, Asian Goddess, as East-West Secret Societies Agree to Save Planet. I love reading this. For the first time in history, Eastern and Western secret societies have agreed to work together for the benefit of the planet. Secret society sources say As one Western secret society source put it, Jesus Christ is going to get married to Buwan Yin, the Buddhist goddess of mercy. The result is that the unlimited funding is going to be made available to fund projects to help the living creatures of this planet, human and otherwise, the sources say. However, since we are entering historically uncharted waters, it will probably take a few months before the actual work can begin. In the meantime, also, it was Neil Keenan. I follow his posts as well. August 17th, I believe it was, he finally passed through the gauntlet, having passed all the tests of the Indonesian elders. And they come from families that go back thousands of years. A very reliable source told me a few years ago that some of these elders, they've defied age. I've heard of some being as young as 200 years, some being as young as 400 years, and it's not that they're living off the very best of the land. No, they have learned how to preserve themselves and live longer and healthy minds, healthy bodies. Okay, the result is that as Neil Keenan was appointed then the Amana, which means the one, he's given the authority to go to the bunkers of Indonesia in the jungles where vast treasures in the quadrillions are stored. And he is right now in the jungles of Indonesia. I saw video footage of him, and they're working to open up bunkers and caves where especially gold, a lot of gold is stored. And in the past, I saw gold coming from caves and bunkers, some that was in bars, 27-pound bars, some in Buddhas, smelted into the shapes of Buddhas, and those weighed 150 pounds. And I've seen pallets and pallets in some of these caves. Okay, the result is that unlimited funding is going to be available to fund projects to help the living creatures of this planet, human and otherwise, the sources say. Okay, at present there are several competing plans being presented at the highest levels of the world power. The Vatican and the P2 Masons want to make funds available to existing nation states through selected individuals. P2 sources say. The Chinese have, now I know that the Vatican and the P2 would, yes, like to grab control. The Chinese have already started their work through their One Belt, One Road program, and we've heard Kate talk about that, and she did some incredible research on that and shared it with us. The White Hats in the Pentagon and the military-industrial complex are promoting their NESARA and GESARA, G-E-S-A-R-A, and N-E-S-A-R-A, global currency reset ideas. Now, in the news, it's very, very slightly mentioned we are due for a dollar reset, which I think President Trump will accomplish very shortly. There's been talk, and I spoke with a gentleman about, 10, 11 years ago, who was one of the principals involved in orchestrating future global currencies. And he said in 10 years or 11, 12 maybe, we will see currencies change throughout the world. So anyway, that is something we can expect. enough money is theoretically available for all of these projects to go ahead. Simultaneously, however, there is agreement that any release of funds will have to be firmly connected to reality and real-world projects if we are to avoid hyperinflation or asset inflation as we have under the current system. And also, this will have to be done so gradually so as not to terrify humanity. The AC, the bicamerals that we have all over this country, I see them all the time, and I'm saddened to come across so many people that you can't have a honest and realistic conversation with, rational conversation. The White Dragon Society has also put forward proposals that have been given initial approval by both Eastern and Western secret societies. WDS, or White Dragon Society, sources say. Now, White Dragon Society are also from China, ancient families, long lineage, and also elders that are in the hundreds of years of age. And a lot of their assets were stolen by the global elite, the BIS, never mind. The WDS proposal as follows: the creation of at least 2 competing future planning agencies. Each would have a governing board of 7 people, selected from 7 regions: China, East Asia, excluding China, okay, Europe, including Russia, the Muslim world, India, Africa, and the Americas. All decisions would be reached by majority vote, and vetoes would be limited to individual regions. Proposed headquarters locations for the Western Agency are Winnipeg, Canada, the exact geographical center of North America, I didn't know that, and Buenos Aires, Argentina, the Pope's home. For Asia, Nara, Japan, Laos, and Singapore are being proposed. Negotiations are ongoing and no final decision has been reached. However, it has been confirmed that over 200 billion gold-backed funds will be available to start the agency as soon as the appropriate legal documents are prepared. BIS sources say that this is the Bank of International Settlements, and they've had their hands in some dirty dealings, but maybe they will reform or be reformed. Okay, let's see. While this is all good news, fighting to subdue remaining Khazarian Satanists continues in the U.S., the EU, Israel, and Japan. In the U.S., according to Pentagon sources, the Democrat Party fell for a trap, and I don't have the remainder of that. But, okay, that is both pieces from Benjamin Fulford. And before closing, I just want to mention, there are many good white hats that I've come across that are working to bring an end to this massive undermining of humanity in our country and the world, and to end the Khazarians or the global elite's plan to eliminate 90% of the population on the planet. Well, in one way that they have been succeeding is take a look at how many drugs the FDA is approving. You see all the new commercials? And all drugs are toxic. and they can be used to treat symptoms, but not for long-range use. They do have side effects, and many people are suffering the side effects. I was prescribed a drug for my diabetes, and sure enough, I suffered some severe symptoms of the side effects, and no longer take that. Okay. Robert David Steele, Steele, one of those fine people. Also David Icke, also Dave Janda, Janda. All you have to do is Google their names, and you'll come across their websites and great information to be made available. Do your own research. Don't just take what I have told you to mean the final word. You know, some of you may disagree with what I've said. Well, prove me wrong. I want that. And I want healthy debate. Please be concerned about what we do now. We are neo-thinkers, and we have to take action. We have to be aware. Read your materials. I was just reading the Dr. Wallace's the Neotech Bible. Go through it. It's just impressive. You'll be enhanced, and I do mean enhanced. And we are all God, men, and women. You know, I recite that so many times every day, and I can feel my God-man power just growing so fast. Now, let me also add, you know, I spoke about the alien species that are on our planet, and the researchers, Corey Good and David Wilcock, and so many others. Here in Louisiana, I go out at night, and I love to look into the sky, and I have for the last, 2 years, witnessed strange objects in the sky. All I can see are their lights, some of them smaller, some of them larger, and they move, unlike any craft that I have ever seen on our planet, not jets, and they remain pretty much stationary. And last night I counted 14 from larger craft to very small craft, and they move laterally, back and forth, very slowly. And I've seen them as sometimes after the sun is set, it's just getting dark. I've seen them coming from somewhere, flying into their positions and maintaining those positions. And usually I have my last visit outside around midnight, and I still see them there. So I think they're just in place at night. Now, there's an airport very close to where I live, and there's also an Air Force base very close by. Are they monitoring that? I don't know. Plus, we also have oil tanks. We have a lot of oil refineries not far away. So I seem to get the impression they're here to protect, observe and protect. So I want to thank you all for allowing me to present to you, and wish you a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy. And for the guys, don't eat too much turkey. The tryptophan, that's an amino acid in the turkey, you'll be out like a light a half an hour after your meal, sleeping on the sofa.
Warning well heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay. Hey, Rick, I'm curious. What do we do about everything you've said in regard to the next election and all? I'm going to talk a little politics for 10 minutes, all right? And then I'm going to get off of it. You know, we don't have the 12 Visions Party. That's on hold. It's not moving forward the way we had hoped, and right now it is on hold. What do we do as neo-thinkers? Do we just blindly say Trump's the guy? Do we actually, as you said, do the research? You may believe it, but it doesn't mean everybody else believes it. You know, how is the best way as a neo-thinker looking to 2020 and beyond to look for a government, and again, now it doesn't have to be Trump, but just be as a whole overall. How are we going to look for the next decade as we try to build our own mentality. Because I'll be candid, I'll put myself out there. I don't see the 12 Visions Party moving forward. All right, I'm going to put it right there. It's on a recording. It's just the reality, because we haven't really had people stepping up to lead it the way it needs to be led. So, and we do need economics has to be involved. A lot has to be done. So, instead of blindly just say, "Oh, the TVP is going to do it," well, forget that. It's not happening. Where do we do to move forward to 2020 and then 2024 and say, all right, as neo-thinkers, how do we change government and do it? Do we go in to grassroots within our states? How, knowing that you're telling us about changes in government, well, what can we do aside from the 12 Visions Party? Let's say that. What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, let me say this. We have been overwhelmed by the political games going on in Washington, D.C. And it is intimidating, and I would say many people back down from getting involved. Only those very hardy souls that are willing to get right into the muck and go after politics. So what do? I think we observe and not buy into the fake media, but do our own research. Go behind. The internet is such an invaluable source of knowledge and information. And yes, we're not going to always find the most honest things on the internet, but after a while, which is what I've done now, 10 years, I've pretty much sorted where the good sources of honest, real information is, as close to neo-think as could possibly somebody come to. So we have to be vigilant and really understand the candidates. And some of them will come with dirt that they're going to try to hide and cover up. Some of them will be wolves in sheep's clothing, smiling and all the while lying and looking to play the hands of the elite. Well, the elites are weakening, but they're not out of power yet. So they're going to try every dirty trick they can think of. And believe me, they have their think tanks where they have meetings of their higher-ups and master plan what they do. Do you think all this controversy of the elections, the midterm elections, and how we've I heard about some of the candidates being just, excuse my language, pieces of shit. And so if we're well informed and we maintain our neo-think mentality, maybe we can influence some of these people. Look, we have a tremendous power within ourselves. We are God, men, and women, and we can use that to create an advantage, to hold their feet to the fire and make them be honest. Hopefully we will see in the near future a shrinking of government, not an expansion. I think that's something President Trump talks about. So we've got to continue to remain a nebulous group, hopefully bringing in more and more members, and encouraging the young people, those that are now, we see a whole new generation coming into politics, especially in the Democratic Party, and they're challenging, the old guard. Well, it's happening. So the young people are soon going to be replacing the career politicians, and hopefully they don't become career politicians, and hopefully we see soon a meritocratic governmental system where it's term limits, like what Mark Hamilton has laid out for the 12 Visions Party. No one person should be in power in politics and keep scooping up more. So that's my opinions.
Well, that's very good. Let's stick with that a little bit, because this is a good conversation for the 12 Visions Party and where it's going to go. You brought up young people. I think from my point of view is, when I say the 12 Visions Party is not happening now, I do believe it will happen. It's going to happen with some new energy and some new integrations. We just haven't reached that yet. However, we must be prepared for that. I'm very much looking at everybody. I'll tell you, everybody, when I'm on these calls, I'm watching. I'm listening to all of you. I'm making notes of who I think might be a good, and I don't mean a candidate for president. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about a good leader for the society of the TVP. Yeah. I'm looking for that strong leader. A leader is not being a chairman. It doesn't mean it's a head person. It's somebody who really sees Mark's vision and says, I'm going to take it on, and I will work with the chairmen. I will work with the state legislatures. That's beyond the national level names. Do you understand? And I'm looking for that individual who is going to say, I am Mark's leader for the 12 Visions Party. And I will work with David Dakota, and I will work with other people, and I will develop them and build them and put the big picture together. That's what I'm looking for. And I still believe that's our key. Because we have got to have a bigger level person above even the chairman. Mark would have been the perfect person, right? But Mark has decided to step back from that. So it's almost like we're replacing Mark Hamilton with the right person. That's the vision I see. And that person will work with David Dakota, will work with other individuals, etc. But we need that higher level person. That is my vision for the 12 Visions Party. And I'm looking for that individual who's willing to step up, has a business mindset, has a people mindset, has a moral mindset. See, that's my one big thing, and I've been watching these midterms. We lack huge, major morals in this country. Major morals. Yeah. Politicians are horrendously corrupt from all angles. And I'm sorry, I'm throwing Trump in there and everybody else. They're all are. I'm going to put it as a general. There's so much corruption. It's disgusting. And we have to replace that moral issue with the right moral info of the 12 Visions Party, which is a moral situation. And it's very important we find that individual who has that mixture of all of those integrations. And they're out there, and I know you're there. And I'm going to keep hunting for you because I need that person to be able to take and whip the whole thing together, including all the puzzle pieces. You see, the chairman, vice chairman, national, those are all major puzzle pieces. We need the big puzzle person above all those pieces. And that's my vision. And again, it's not going to be Mark Hamilton. Mark has made it adamant that he will step back, and he's not going to do it. So we have to, what they call it, replicate it. And that's what we got to look for. We got to look for a replication of Mark Hamilton for that position. And that makes sense.
And we give that person full support.
Yes.
Somebody said to me, a lawyer, prominent lawyer some years ago, he said, if you want to become a multi-millionaire, become a politician.
That's it. Get other people they give you money. Get your money from other people. And that's how it works from that point of it. So I'd like to get into discussion on this. You brought up a lot of other information, but I want to throw that on as part of our subject while we go into open discussion. So, Charlie, any comments on your end? And then we'll open lines.
Yeah, I could talk on none of this myself. I saw this article just the other day, and it really made me even wonder more. We all heard that they wanted to give it like 90% of the population, because we can't afford to feed everybody. And now they're saying here that the Democrats and the globalists are ready to replace low-wage humans with robots, is because the robots will be granted voting rights. Now, these are like the heavy-duty robots, the people who can do construction. They'll actually be robots. And they want to give them voting rights, actually have them vote. And then the Democrats will have no more need for humans. I mean, this is kind of really scary. Now, if this is true or not, I don't know. But even that it's being talked about scares me.
Charlie, sorry to interrupt you, Charlie. Agenda 21. All you got to do is Google that, and it's now become Agenda 30. That is the master plan to annihilate 90% of the world's population.
Yeah. And they're probably going to do it by the bio-sludge. Because there's just a whole bunch of an article on that. It's just, there's some scary stuff out there, and it can all happen. It's possible. I mean, that's what they're going for. We don't need people. All we need is some robots, and and that's it. Because the people who are doing menial jobs as far as they are concerned. Their only existence is to have these menial jobs. So why not just get into robots and then we can just take care of those people and wipe them out? Scary stuff.
AI. That's the word. That's the definition. Artificial intelligence was recent. I don't even remember his name, but one of the great, brilliant minds of our country said, "Beware of artificial intelligence."
Yeah, it's here. So
remember. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's all right, Steve. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, remember I spoke about last night on the Level 3 call when I talked about how we're still very much geared to the bicameral mentality. That was millions of years. So you've got a major part of this society that is still very much needing guidance, still very much being a follower, and is not comfortable with taking care of their own leadership. Obviously, what we're trying to do as neo-thinkers is to teach you to have leadership and development, but it's a process that takes patience, perseverance, networking in order to do all of that. And we're learning, we got a large nut to crack to do it. In the meantime, the government, the way it's set up, is going to continue to destroy. Let's be honest, these fires in California, there's a lot behind the scenes that we don't know about. And I still see that. And was a great way to demolish a group of people at one time, okay? And it's just the start. Imagine starting those nationwide. How many thousands can be dead? Think of that. Just think of what happened there and can just take that nationwide. And in just a matter of days, how they can eliminate thousands of people. So these are serious things that we have to look at and be aware of. And unfortunately, we are still in the guided mode. And we are still in that follower mentality because it is part of our inherent process of who we are as human beings or animals, if you want to use the term, our animal part. And that was, as we've learned, that's millions of years in that bicameral mentality. And it's not just going to go away. And without the discipline, thought, and control and integrations, you will bounce back into that following mode. One of the biggest keys here, which I'm still disappointed is, and I'm going to put it out there, we have no neo-think educators. Where are the Miss Annabelles in this society? I have been asking for 4 years to get them out there. People say, well, I was a teacher. Well, learn how to be a Miss Annabelle teacher. And let's do some classes and programs in areas where you can teach as Miss Annabelle to at least get us into that mindset. I'm still waiting. Nobody has volunteered to do it. And as I said, I'm looking for a teacher mentality to do that, the one who's been a teacher. I can do so much, others can, but I know there's many of you out there that can step up and help us grow and develop. So that's something that's needed. Education is needed, even if it's only part-time or educated. We got to start doing these tools from the literature in society. It's very important. So I just want to kind of put that out there also. When it comes to the robot and all that, we saw that in the 60s. If you remember who thought about that, do you all remember, if you watched some of the Twilight Zone and some of the others, they had the robots who actually took over for people. And so that was even Rod Sterling was showing that in 1963, how that was actually being done. So that's something that's been around for a while, and I believe it is going to become a reality, and people will be destroyed. And it's up to us as the strength to be able to survive, because we better be strong to survive, because they will destroy us also if they can get their hands on it. Good point.
Steve, I'm reminded, Steve, it's Rick. I'm reminded of something in the movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, the original.
Yes.
From, what was it, 1952?
51, yeah, with Michael. What's his name? Yep.
Yeah, Michael Rennie.
Rennie,
Yes.
yep.
And he came from a planet to planet, he said many millions of miles away. They had formed a galactic alliance where they no longer had wars, and violence was dealt with by the robots. And they had become very benevolent societies. Well, that is not far-fetched from what I also hear. There are guardians and alliances from other planets, other solar systems, other galaxies that are closely watching our planet. And, excuse me, why is it that whenever a nuclear silo, the missiles, they go on to, CENTCOM 3 or something like that, and yellow, red alert, orange alert, and they have the missile silos, containers open up, and suddenly all of their communications, the control of the missiles, are disabled. And this has happened over and over again. We don't hear about it, but it's out there. It's happened. So they're trying to prevent us from having a world war with nuclear weapons to destroy us. And if you remember in some of the other science fiction films of the 50s, they would have these really brilliant graphic models of these spacecraft, the saucer types, coming down, and then they shoot a beam down, and whole tanks are dissolved, soldiers, and like they did in the day the Earth stood still. Well, this is a technology that was brought from other planets and reverse engineered by people like Werner von Braun, and even Einstein was involved in that. What's his? The greater one that was even better than more accomplished than Einstein, who gave us AC electricity. I'm trying to Nikola Tesla.
Oh yes.
He had developed a laser beam, and he wanted to provide that to the world, all the countries, so they could no longer go to war and they'd all have the same power. And if one annihilated the other, all of them could annihilate each other and destroy our planet. And that was his goal, and it was stolen from him and never to be heard from again.
Fascinating.
And so now, our military is using this technology. Mm-hmm. During the first Gulf War, they tested a laser, or I say laser, but it's a high impulse frequency beam, high frequency impulse beam, and they completely melted an entire village in Iraq.
Mm. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's intense. No, that's wow. Yeah, the we know the power's out there. We know they've got the power, and how they're going to use it. It's just where do we stick in with this, and with our knowledge and information? Do we just aware of it and we sort of let life go on, or do we contribute to avoiding it? I guess really the question is we're learning a lot of information, but what do we do with it? That's
We've
a good
got,
question.
I think in NeoThink, I don't know for 100% certainty, but I think we've got some young scientific minds, maybe older scientific minds, and all of those minds, those thinkers. We've got Mark Hamilton. If they continue to integrate, well, it's important for us to know what's going on, the information, to know that we are not alone on this planet, that there are other forces here, to know that they are trying to manipulate governments and so on. But I'm sure we have some scientists and great thinking minds that can contribute and share with us, and eventually, we do what we have been taught by Mark Hamilton and Dr. Wallace: take action.
Take action. Yep. Well, you bring up a good point. Areas of purpose, Friday Night Essences, and this is where it comes out to all of you listening. You've got a scientific background. You've been studying this. You analyze it. Well, how can you help us with what we should do with it? Give us input, etc. Don't just rely on myself and some others. I'm anxious to get more of you coming out of the shadows and talk about this and become much more vocal, so you can help all of us. So this is important. So step up. Let us know you're out there. Tell us how you want to contribute. This is your chance to contribute to the society and to help the world, if you want to know the truth. So you've got information. Where does your expertise and your essence is to help us take this and develop it? So Rick is excellent. We got a lot of hands raised. I think we're going to go into the hands raised, if that's okay, guys.
Yeah, please.
Let's do it.
Let's go to 3473.
Hello, good evening.
Oh, thank you.